Today, we step into one of the most heartbreaking chapters, the stories of American female celebrities whose lives were taken by the silent and destructive power of overdose. These were not gentle farewells. They were sudden and devastating moments where private struggles, pressures, and pain overwhelmed bright careers, leaving families, fans, and entire communities in shock. In this video, we remember the women whose lives were cut short by addiction and overdose. Amy Winehouse, the beloved English singer-songwriter who brought a raw, smoky voice, biting humor, and extraordinary soul to a new generation of listeners, passed away on July 23, 2011, at the age of 27. Her death was one of the most shocking and painful moments in modern music. After a long and public struggle with alcohol, eating disorders, and the pressures of fame, she had spent several weeks trying to get sober at her Camden Square home in London. Friends later said she seemed calmer and was even planning to write again. But on that summer afternoon, her bodyguard found her lying motionless in bed. Paramedics rushed in, but could only confirm what everyone feared. The coroner revealed she had died from acute alcohol poisoning, with a blood alcohol level more than 5 times the legal drink-drive limit. A sudden relapse after a period of abstinence that her weakened body could no longer endure. It was a lonely, heartbreaking end for a young woman whose songs had spoken so openly of pain, love, and self-destruction. Born Amy Jade Winehouse on September 14, 1983, in Enfield, North London, she grew up in a family steeped in jazz. Her taxi driver father loved Sinatra. Her mother adored soul, and her grandmother once dated saxophonist Ronnie Scott. By 12, she was writing songs and playing guitar, and as a teenager, she joined the National Youth Jazz Orchestra, her deep contralto instantly setting her apart. At 19, she signed her first record deal, releasing Frank to critical acclaim, but it was her second album, Back to Black, that made her an international star, earning 6 Grammys and giving the world songs like Rehab that echoed her own battles. Even as fame grew, Amy's inner struggles only deepened, and though she fought hard to recover, the relentless cycle of pressure and relapse eroded her health. Her sudden passing placed her in the tragic 27 club of artists lost too soon, yet her legacy endures in every singer she inspired, in the brutal honesty of her recordings, and in the memory of a young woman who, even in her pain, gave the world music full of love, wit, and aching beauty. Whitney Houston, the beloved American singer and actress who brought soaring power, tenderness, and extraordinary soul to generations of audiences, passed away on February 11, 2012, at the age of 48. Her death was one of the most shocking losses the music world has ever faced. She had been staying at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills, preparing for a pre-Grammy celebration, when hours before the show she retreated to her suite to rest and bathe. Later that afternoon, hotel staff discovered her lifeless body submerged in the bathtub, and frantic attempts by security and paramedics could not bring her back. The coroner's report revealed a heartbreaking truth. She had accidentally drowned after slipping under the water, with cocaine use and heart disease weakening her body and contributing to her death. It was a devastating end to years of private battles with addiction, exhaustion, and the crushing pressure of global fame. And the suddenness of that moment turned a night meant for music into one of mourning. Born Whitney Elizabeth Houston on August 9, 1963, in Newark, New Jersey, she grew up surrounded by music, singing in the New Hope Baptist Church choir under the guidance of her mother Cissy Houston, and inspired by family friends Aretha Franklin and Dionne Warwick. A shy but determined child, she began modeling as a teenager but never let go of her dream to sing, and at just 19 she signed to Arista Records, releasing a debut album that became one of the most successful first albums in history. With her radiant stage presence and a voice that could glide from a whisper to thunder, she gave the world classics like Saving All My Love for You, How Will I Know, and I Want to Dance with Somebody, before crossing into acting and becoming forever linked with The Bodyguard in 1992, where she starred opposite Kevin Costner and delivered I Will Always Love You, a song that shattered records worldwide. In the years that followed, she starred in Waiting to Exhale and The Preacher's Wife, while breaking barriers for Black female artists at the very top of pop music. But behind the dazzling smile, she was struggling with a turbulent marriage, repeated relapses, and an industry that would not give her space to heal. Her sudden passing on that February evening left fans, family, and fellow artists stunned. Yet her funeral at the same church where she first sang as a child brought her story full circle. Today, Whitney Houston's legacy lives on through her timeless recordings, her influence on nearly every major vocalist who came after her, and the memory of a woman whose light, though dimmed too soon, still shines with unmatched brilliance. Marilyn Monroe, the beloved American actress and model who brought glamour, vulnerability, and extraordinary charm to generations of audiences, passed away on August 4, 1962, at the heartbreakingly young age of 36. Her death was ruled a probable suicide caused by an overdose of barbiturates after years of battling depression, chronic insomnia, and the crushing weight of being the world's most scrutinized woman. She was found lifeless in her Los Angeles bedroom, clutching a phone receiver in what appeared to be a desperate, unfinished call for help, a scene that shocked her friends, her fans, and Hollywood itself. Born Norma Jean Mortensen on June 1, 1926, in Los Angeles to a single mother who struggled with severe mental illness, she spent much of her childhood in foster homes and an orphanage, enduring instability and loneliness but clinging fiercely to her dreams of a better life. At just 16, she married James Doherty to avoid returning to the orphanage. But when he went off to war, she found herself working in a factory and soon caught the eye of a photographer. beginning a modeling career that transformed the shy, dark-haired girl into the radiant blonde pin-up who would soon conquer Hollywood. By the early 1950s, she had become a sensation with films like Niagara, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, How to Marry a Millionaire, and The 7-Year Itch, embodying a new kind of screen presence that mixed innocence with sensuality. Determined to prove she was more than a stereotype, she founded her own production company, studied acting seriously, and gave acclaimed performances in Bus Stop, The Prince and the Showgirl, and the Golden Globe-winning Some Like It Hot. Yet behind the dazzling image, she suffered failed marriages to Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller, repeated miscarriages, and a growing dependence on prescription drugs to manage her mental and physical pain. Her tragic passing turned a life of struggle and triumph into one of Hollywood's greatest mysteries, but her legacy endures as a timeless symbol of beauty, resilience, and the price of fame. A woman who rose from a broken childhood to change cinema forever, and whose story still resonates with anyone who has ever felt unseen, unheard, or misunderstood.